Good afternoon. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez. It is 12 o'clock, top of the hour. Happy Thursday, April 17th. It's another great day to be an American. I'm hearing that President Trump is having a live feed right now from the White House, so let's go there quickly.
President Trump, how confident are you, sir, you can make a trade deal with the EU? Your message to Italy, sir. Message to Italy. Great person. Prime Minister Meloni, can you make a deal? A trade deal, message?
Ready close? Ready shut.
Okay, that's all we needed to see. The President and the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, meeting there at the White House. So what's next is a luncheon between the two leaders. And then they'll have at the Oval Office a bit of a meeting there. And we'll hear from the reporters there. As you know, there's many press conferences that happen between the press and the world leader that's visiting. So right off the top, we're seeing the president, of course, right there at 12 o'clock Eastern time, now just 1 minute after the hour. We have quite the show for you coming up. We have a number of interviews, and we'll do a little Throwback Thursday segment, since it is Thursday, of course, and we'll be introducing one of our guests a little bit later to share more information about that. So this live video, as you see, President Trump just meeting with the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni. So again, as soon as we see the live feed or the tape playback of the Oval Office meeting, we'll bring it to you live right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Now, that's not slated for a bit yet, around 1 o'clock. However, the two leaders will be having a meeting, a lunch, and then they'll meet at the Oval Office. So we'll have all of that coming up for you. We are 87 days into this second administration. A lot of wins to count. A lot of people asking some questions about everything when it comes to our country moving forward. Hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. It's something a lot of people do out there. Staying vigilant, but still understanding that we have such a great leader in office. But not only is President Trump a great leader, as you guys know, the cabinet is an all-star cast of rock star patriots for this country. And we see that with RFK Jr. We see that with Pete Hegseth at DOD, Kristi Noem at DHS, and the list goes on. How about Linda McMahon at DOE, the Department of Education, as it's getting pretty much slimmed down big time and going back to the states. But these are really genuine, great people that have the interest of we the people in heart and mind. Before we get to our live interview coming up, let's go to Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN is the place to go for a free info kit on gold and silver. And what's all this tax-sheltered IRA, 401k backed in gold and silver, and the BRICS nations and the stock market and the financial markets and all this stuff? Well, if you're unfamiliar with the whole process, all you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. So you'll get a free info kit on gold and silver, and understanding that with your retirement or your savings or just a little bit of extra cash, you may be able to slide that over to gold and silver. You actually can if you want to. So you can get that ball rolling by going to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Let's shift over to angelpaste.com as well out of Spring, Texas, of course, the miracle cream that you see on the side of your screen. They also have a number of other products on there. So just go to angelpaste.com, use the RSBN promo code for quite the discount off. A great product there out of Spring, Texas that hires military veterans. A great company and a great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and Kalshi.com/RSBN. When will Bitcoin hit $150,000 is one of the questions that you can see on Kalshi, but there are a number of questions that you can trade and bet on if you'd like to. The QR code's right there, or you can always go to Kalshi.com/RSBN for more information to trade on the most important events out there. All right, so it's 12:04 Eastern time. Let's just jump into something before we go to our live interview. Let's jump right into our Trump on Truth segment. President Trump earlier on Truth Social saying, quote, had a very productive call with the president of Mexico yesterday. Likewise, I met with the highest level Japanese trade representatives. It was a very productive meeting. Every nation, including China, as you see there, the president says wants to meet. Today, at the end of that quote, Italy. And that's what we just saw already. Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, what a beautiful country I hear that Italy is from friends or family. I have not been there yet. It'd be awesome to go there someday. But again, that happening just moments ago. If you just joined us, we already saw the live part of where President Trump greets the foreign leader outside the West Wing of the White House. Then from there will be at the Oval Office the meeting and the questions and answers from the press, which we will see here on RSBN Live. Again, I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in. Let's go now to one of the greats out there when it comes to conservative media and doing great things for this country, Justine Brooke Murray, the host at the Media Research Center. Justine, thanks so much for joining us here on Right Side. Looks like we might not have your mic or your audio at this point. Maybe we could try again. Okay, I'm not sure if we're getting that. Maybe what we could do is we'll come back to you in just a second. Do I hear you? Nope, don't hear you right now. It doesn't sound like the audio is working at this point. So what we'll do is we'll come back to you, Justine, in just a bit as we are live at 12:06 Thursday, April 17th. We are looking forward to seeing the president or the prime minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, and President Trump as they will discuss back and forth Italian and the United States relations, and also when it comes to trade and any other interesting information that we'll hear from that back and forth between the president and the prime minister of Italy. So we'll have that in its entirety when that happens a little bit later. All right, so within the 24/7 news cycle, as we get ready for the technical issue to be taken care of there, once that is, Director, if you can let me know. In the meantime, within that 24/7 news cycle, the president spoke from the Blue Room of the White House yesterday, speaking at a pre-Easter prayer and dinner service. Here's what he had to say about faith in God. Director, do we have that clip ready to go? All right, let's go with it.
And with God's help, we can overcome every challenge, triumph over every evil, and restore the spirit of faith in the United States for generations to come. We have a very simple slogan: make America great again, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're making America great again, and I like to add that I really believe greater than ever before.
Quite the speech yesterday. If you didn't catch it right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, we saw that speech there at the pre-Easter prayer and dinner service in the Blue Room of the White House. Hearing President Trump speak openly about his faith, pretty awesome to hear that. Also, the proclamation earlier this week about not only, of course, Passover in Judaism, also in Christianity with Good Friday and Resurrection Sunday coming up on Easter on this coming Sunday. Of course, tomorrow, already Good Friday. The weeks are flying by. 87 days in for this president and this second administration. A lot of great things happening. We're covering a lot of it right here at Right Side. And we'll also be covering just a number of stories. You know, promises made, promises kept. We're covering those. We're seeing the reformation of America before our eyes. Very historic time here in our country and at this network. All right, let's try that again. Let's see. Justine, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Thanks so much for joining us. This is Justine Brooke Murray, the host at the Media Research Center. For those that don't know, Justine, can you talk to us about MRC?
Certainly. The Media Research Center has been correcting left-wing bias in the mainstream media for decades, and my team has been doing a great job at it. Every day you see the left-wing media, especially now that President Trump is back in office, left-wing media has been spewing lies about his term so far, and we're here to put some truth and fact-check them.
And it's great, and I follow you guys on Truth Social, and it's just awesome because the more conservative media that's out there, the expansion of conservative media would net a lot of people to turn off the mainstream media and watch us, right?
Certainly, and that's what we're seeing in waves. You've seen this, all these new members of new media being able to join the White House briefing room because this administration understands that the legacy media, they're no longer the voice of the people. In fact, they haven't been for a very long time. The people who have been reporting the facts, who have actually been objective, who've actually been on the scene are not represented in ABC, CBS, CNN, and what we're currently focusing on is taxpayer-funded PBS and NPR.
Exactly, and seeing that funding hopefully dry up and go away. We don't want our money, our tax dollars, going to left-wing narratives and propaganda that is all on a false narrative, lying to the American people. I know I'm preaching to the choir right now, Justine, but holy smokes, it's been wild to see the amount of people waking up to what the left is trying to spew. But a lot of people are already, I think, resonating with conservative media. So let's talk about some of the stories that you've been working on and some of the focus that you have right now as a journalist.
Yes, certainly. I actually recently brought, MRC has studied years of left-wing bias and reported evidence of bias spewed by PBS and NPR. So we actually created a 6-foot-long tower of our reporting, just covering at least 15 years of that bias. So I brought this tower to both PBS and NPR's headquarters. They both said in a recent hearing with Congress that they would both be interested in seeing our evidence. They claimed there's no evidence of left-wing bias. But when I brought that evidence to their buildings, they had security turn us away. They treated me like I was a security threat, when really the threat is to their federal funding and to their left-wing dogma.
Exactly. So it's great work that you're doing there, showing the people what's going on when it comes to the specifics of that funding being hopefully dried up soon by our government. Shifting gears a little bit now to Holy Week, of course, President Trump and Melania Trump and the team holding that pre-Easter prayer service yesterday. Also earlier in the week, having a message to those in the Jewish faith about Passover. Isn't it great to have a president who's on the right side of history, believes in the Old Testament, believes in the New Testament, and believes in the freedom of religion for our country?
It's definitely a first in a very long time, in about 4 years, where our previous president would throw mothers and they would throw Christians, they would throw them in jail, they would brand them as terrorists simply because they believed in a God. They believed in something higher than the authority of the government. That's why the left hates religion so much. They hate Judeo-Christian values because Judeo-Christian values and believing in something higher than yourself, it means you believe in something higher than their power, than their authority to tell you what to say, what to think, to strip your rights away. And it's so wonderful that President Trump is actually embracing religion now. And he's specifically embracing the freedom of religion.
Exactly. So let's dive into that a little bit before I let you go. We're looking at good versus evil. We're looking at the spiritual kind of war or battle that's out there. I mean, let's just call it how it is. You won't hear this on mainstream media, as you know, but when we have President Trump talking about common sense initiatives, right? Law and order, or sealing the border, or helping Israel, or the friendship we have with that great country, and on and on and on. Just a lot of common sense, good stuff. Why do you think the media then is hating that stuff too? You just said they hate the religious stuff. Isn't it because it's all based in that good versus evil? Isn't that why they're just hating on it even more and just in a different way?
Certainly, because when you have a religion, especially if you're Jewish or Christian, you believe in morals. The left doesn't believe in morals. The mainstream media, which they're a voice for the left, they don't believe in right versus wrong. They believe that truth is relative. There is no truth. You can say that a man is a woman or vice versa. Sin is good, good is sin. That's why they're supporting all the murders of people simply because they're either on the right, or simply because of the color of their skin, or simply because they're deemed a privileged CEO of a healthcare company. You're seeing the mainstream media either brush aside or express sympathy for cold-blooded murderers and people who are committing acts of violence. So of course they hate religion, and of course they hate President Trump's common sense policy and policies based off this idea that there is a good and there is an evil.
Justine, can you believe that you just said what you said, which I believe in 100%, on a national outlet here, Right Side Broadcasting Network, airing all across the country. There are some people that watch around the world, literally this network. But you just spoke that freely in America, something that wouldn't happen and wouldn't fly in some other countries, right?
Certainly, and that's the beauty of being an American. It's the beauty of what so many left-wingers don't understand. And I think it's partially because a large portion of the left, they're these young 20-year-olds. All they know is the freedom to be an American. They're so lucky they have the freedom to even burn the American flag, to burn the very flag that gives them the right to openly express hatred for this country. That is something, as you said, you don't see anywhere else.
Exactly. So it's quite awesome to be on the right side of history. Let's dive into a couple topics before I let you go here on Right Side. We see that Letitia James being accused of mortgage fraud. I mean, that's unbelievable. We're seeing that happen. Your thoughts about that, and also maybe some more, not really maybe, but more justice being served and prosecutions to those that deserve it.
Certainly. Well, Letitia James, it seems like she really brought this on herself. For years, she has tried to be part of this left-wing machine of political persecutions, trying to use the judicial system, abuse it to go after her political opponents. That's what she ran on. She ran on targeting her major political opponent because of his beliefs, and now she's facing backlash for it. She's experiencing exactly, well, I believe, more fairly experiencing what she tried to put on her political opponents. And it's so funny to see the left and the mainstream media cry foul over something that they've supported for years.
I can't believe it, too, to your point about the media right now, when they get upset because somebody from El Salvador that is illegally here involved with MS-13 is being deported and was deported and will stay in El Salvador. And they're going to that one person's defense who's involved in a terrible, violent gang. It's ridiculous. I don't even know why, to be honest, at the press briefing rooms, ABC and those guys should not even be in the front row. Don't you agree?
Certainly. Well, it goes back to the mainstream media, the leftist media's rejection of morality. I'm baffled that we have these so-called journalists openly defending murderers or alleged and charged murderers, and then also defending apparent MS-13 gang members. This is part of their pattern of supporting evil versus good, and it's, as we mentioned previously, part of their reasoning for hating President Trump and anyone who is religious, because religion puts their hatred towards what's good in check.
Exactly. Final word for you, Justine. Just your thoughts and your encouragement or advice for Americans watching right now, saying, hey, you know what? President Trump's in office. We've got this great cabinet team of patriotic leaders, but still stay vigilant out there and win those midterms, right?
Certainly. I think what a lot of people start feeling comfortable when their side is in power, because they feel like, well, they can just sit back and relax. They don't have to do anything. But when you do that, you let the left-wing media and you let these left-wing influencers start holding the floor, because right now they're the party of resistance. So they're going to do everything they can to spin the narrative, and we need to keep that in check. And that's why the Media Research Center is here to correct left-wing biases, to combat their hatred, and to combat their disdain they have for this country and people who are on the right. We put them in check with good and better speech, with truth. And we have to continue doing that, because you can't have people in power anymore who hate us. And I think a majority of our Americans recognized that earlier, but they still need to recognize that even when the people who are doing good things are in power.
Exactly. So too big to rig for the general election, too big to rig for the midterms, just staying, strong, but also smart while you're doing it, right? So Justine Brooke Murray, thank you so much. Host at MRC. Where can people follow you and follow some of your work?
Sure thing. Visit mrc.org. You can also visit MRC TV on X, and on Instagram, we are at the Media Research Center. I host a show every Tuesday called Woke of the Week, and that is on our Rumble and YouTube, which is also called MRC TV.
That's awesome. Woke of the Week. That's perfect for a show title name. Thanks so much, Justine, for joining us here on RSBN Live.
Yeah, of course. Great to be back.
Definitely. All right, so it's 12/19, Thursday, April 17th. Of course, we're getting ready for the meeting between the president or the prime minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, and President Trump. We'll show that in its entirety to you from the Oval Office. Before we get to our next live guest and our next segment, a Throwback Thursday segment, let's talk about a few of our great sponsors, including Tax Network USA. So 800-357-1415 is the number you see there, tnusa.com/RSBN. Obviously, tax day just a couple days ago, but still, at the end of the day, if you're looking to settle some back taxes, you can do so through tnusa.com/RSBN. 800-357-1415 is the number. They'll walk you through a plan to get that kind of financial peace of mind to pay those back taxes. Let's also go to kalshi.com/RSBN. Again, kalshi.com if you like to bet or trade or just check out some of the questions on there that people are talking about, from sports, technology, politics, weather, Bitcoin. Kalshi.com/RSBN is the place to go. Great sponsor here at the network. Let's go one more sponsor, mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, more than 2,000 products available at that great site with the great patriot himself, Mike Lindell. Check it out. I mean, RSBN having that code up to 50% off, as you see there on the bottom of your screen. So thanks so much for purchasing these great products and as we partner with these great patriotic companies. All right, let's go to the Throwback Thursday segment quickly, because our next guest has everything to do with what you're about to see from Trump National in Washington, D.C. It's actually specifically in Virginia. If you remember, on January 18th, just 2 days before our great president was sworn in at the Rotunda at the U.S. Capitol, a singer by the name of Christopher Macchio sang while the fireworks were being played at that beautiful golf course. Also, he sang at a lot of rallies in the past. Let's just relive that moment. January 18th, Throwback Thursday. Take a look. And there he is, the main man himself, Christopher Macchio. Sir, we were just watching video of that performance there in Virginia, but also you shaking the hand of the president. Now, moving forward, I'm sure you have a lot of different concerts going on. Tell us about what it was like that night on January 18th.
Well, it was really special. It was a couple of $1 million worth of fireworks. They had it choreographed to my voice, and we had Jeff Bezos from Amazon on hand, and just a lot of really powerful people, and we were honored to have them. So to be able to participate in something like that was just a tremendous honor, and it was kind of surreal. Just all those fireworks choreographed over the golf course, and had the opportunity to thank the president afterwards, and tell the First Lady just how wonderful a glow she has about her when she smiles. You know, sometimes she's reserved, and when she smiles, boy, the whole room lights up, and it's a beautiful sight to see.
It is awesome to see that. And also, I'm also thinking about other performances that you've had, Christopher, from when President Trump returned to Butler, Pennsylvania, and then also, I believe you sang at Madison Square Garden, and of course, on Inauguration Day. Can you sum up those 3 days? I don't know how you can, to be honest, but to be a part of history like that for this country moving forward, it's quite awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really a tremendous honor to deliver music at in those really critical historic moments. You know, music is just such a universally accessible medium, language, and it really resonates. It penetrates people at an emotional level, at a visceral level. And so to be able to deliver that kind of material and performances at those really pivotal moments in our history was a privilege, whether it was Butler and or the inauguration understand the personal rapport and gratitude that I feel towards the president for having provided those platforms and opportunities. It's a really special thing for me, but also it highlights his awareness and appreciation of how important culture and music ultimately is to the health and well-being and spirit of our nation. And I think that's also evidenced, of course, with his recent taking over of the Kennedy Center and being such a personal part of the rebirth of that legacy institution as well.
Exactly. And speaking of the president and speaking of culture today, we could talk Italian culture, of course. The Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni of Italy, there with the president. Sir, your thoughts, of course, background being Italian. I have a bit of Italian to me as well. But what's it like to just see the fact that President Trump has such good relations with people from Italy?
Well, I think he understands that Italy has such a strong history and really is as part of the bedrock of our Western civilization that politicians like President Trump are trying to preserve and to restore. And Italy is proving thus far to be a great partner in that endeavor. I sang at CPAC a few months ago, and Meloni did a wonderful remote speech to the audience that received a standing ovation on multiple occasions. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing the administration take further proactive steps to strengthen those transatlantic initiatives between like-minded politicians, whether it be Viktor Orban or Le Pen in France or the AfD in Germany, which of course Elon Musk has been instrumental in raising their profile. So I'm hoping that the gravitas and the leadership of President Trump can really lift all boats with respect to people that are looking to restore Western culture and civilization and protect it.
And speaking of that, let's shift over to the United Kingdom quickly, because we know Nigel Farage with the Reform UK party there. I mean, at the end of the day, we know who the right leaders are around the country and around the world. Unfortunately, in some cases, like in Brazil, we have Lula there instead of Bolsonaro. I mean, your thoughts about the global aspect, and then we'll get back to the domestic stuff here in a sec.
Well, you see that the system is, the antibodies of the system are trying to do whatever they can to preserve this globalist order. They're contriving these firewalls to prevent populist candidates who actually intend to serve the will of the people from coming to the fore and being granted the opportunity to govern that the people are actually demanding for. So whether it's Brazil or whether it's efforts to try to undermine Javier Milei in Argentina, we really need to do all that we can to leverage the power that we have economically, politically, and otherwise to force these governments and these institutionalized bureaucracies to really allow the will of the people to be fully manifest. And there's a lot of work to be done in that regard, but I think that we have the will and the literal and political capital to do it.
Exactly. And then moving forward for this administration, your thoughts about the past 87 days, President Trump's second administration, and also moving forward, are you kind of, cautiously optimistic? Are you super optimistic right now? Like, what is your feeling right now?
Well, I think I echo a lot of my colleagues when I say that every day is Christmas these days. You wake up and you can't wait to go and look on the news and see what President Trump has done for the benefit of our country on this particular day. And I'm a singer. I don't get up until at least 9 o'clock. President gets up at 5 or 6, so he's already got a few executive orders in the pipeline by the time I wake up. And it's just a wonderful thing to witness. And I'm so optimistic for this country. It's, as the president said, there are going to be moments of discomfort anytime that an entrenched institution of bureaucracy is challenged. There are going to be points of friction. And I think, and I encourage my fellow citizens to really take a long-term view and happily absorb whatever momentary discomforts might be experienced by all of us along the way.
Exactly. Well said. Perfectly put. Your voice is amazing. You're amazing. Can you talk to us about where people can find you, and also do you have any concerts coming up, and where people can enjoy your music?
Well, I've got a couple of concerts coming up on Long Island in New York over the summer. We're still finalizing dates. However, I have been reached out by people in the administration with respect to Memorial Day and the 4th of July. So nothing to confirm on that front yet, but let's just say there are probably some pretty fantastic things in the pipeline. So I'm looking forward to possibly participating in those. And with respect to overall culture, I'll be making more appearances in Europe. I hope to perform in Siena, Italy, potentially in the fall. And I also look forward to furthering discussions that I've had with the State Department with respect to functioning as sort of a United States ambassador of music and really taking President Trump's love and appreciation for music, particularly the classics, and kind of amplifying that at different arts venues and ceremonies around the globe. And so I'm looking forward to that as well.
That's awesome. It's great to see your work. It's great to have you spend time with us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Everybody, Christopher Macchio, thank you again, sir, for joining us on Right Side.
Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. All right, so bottom of the hour, 12:31, Thursday, April 17th. As you guys know, when you've seen him speak or pray or sing at various events, it's been quite awesome. You can always look back on a number of videos here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. As we know, we've had a lot of rallies in the past 10 years or so. So you can take a look at least over the past year or two, and you'll probably see Christopher Macchio singing alongside there as President Trump would bring him up on stage in various times there. All right, let's go to Colonial Metals Group as we get ready for more live interviews and some more news of the day. Colonial Metals Group. So freegoldguide.com/RSBN gets you that free info kit that you can get in the mail. It's actually a great looking kit. We have one here at the studio as well. And it gives you all the 1, 2, 3s on how the heck to figure this out. How do you figure out how to put your money into gold and silver, a tax-sheltered IRA, a 401k, all of that? Well, a QR code helps you out there, and then freegoldguide.com/RSBN helps you out as well to get that ball rolling toward Colonial Metals Group, that retirement warning out there when it comes to your retirement, your savings. You can slide some of that money over to gold and silver, Colonial Metals Group. All right, so it's 12:32. Christopher Macchio was just talking about the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. We actually have a post from Secretary of State Marco Rubio about freedom of speech. He just posted this pretty recently. It says, as we recommit this country to its core constitutional free speech principles at home, we will remain vigilant abroad, not just against threats from adversaries such as communist China, but also from less expected countries where authoritarian censorship is gradually strangling true freedom of speech. And you see there the graphic, the infographic saying the best way to counter disinformation is free speech. And when you look up disinformation, it's pretty simple. It's knowing that you are lying, but you're sharing it as news or as fact. And that's interesting. When the left wing tries to say that the right wing and that President Trump is sharing disinformation, it's not even true. They're the ones sharing confusion and weakness, and we're sharing common sense and what the American people voted for, of course, on November 5th, 2024. All right, so it's 12:33. Once again, we're going to move on to our next segment here. Director, go ahead again. Okay, so let's go to President Trump just recently speaking about faith just yesterday. And then also okay. So we have the lunch with the Prime Minister of Italy and President Trump at the White House. Let's go there right now.
Okay, thank you very much. And we're going to be seeing you in a few minutes right after lunch for a press conference in the Oval Office. And I assume you'll all be there. It's the same group. If you had a question or so for the Prime Minister, please, you could ask. Anybody have a question? Okay, good. Then we'll just end it right now.
Prime Minister, you have said that the president's tariffs are wrong. Do you still believe that the United States is a reliable?
They always try to
It
help.
could only be her.
Should the European Union still believe that the United States is a reliable trade partner?
Well, I'm here exactly to work for make the West stronger. Well, I believe in the West unity, and I think simply we have to talk
She
and
believes
find
in the
ourselves.
president. She believes in the president.
Also, and find ourselves in the best middle way to grow together. That's why I'm here. So, if I wouldn't think it's a reliable partner, I wouldn't be here.
We have a very good relationship together, and as countries, we have a very good
To
relationship.
follow up, Mr. President, what if there is not a trade deal with the EU by the time of the end of your 90-day pause on recipient
Oh, there'll be a
tariffs?
trade deal, 100%. Oh, well, you think there won't be? Of course, there'll be a trade deal. Very much. They want to make one very, very much, and we're going to make a trade deal. I fully expect it, but it'll be a fair deal.
Are they on your priority list?
Everybody's on my priority list.
Mr. President, do you plan to meet with the President? You
Say it.
Do you plan to meet with the
Wait,
President?
wait, one at a time, please.
Do you, wait,
No. First, no. You and then we'll.
do you plan to meet with the President of the EU, Ursula von der Leyen? Do you plan to have other meetings with EU leaders as well?
Many. We had a meeting yesterday with Japan. As you know, we've had numerous talks, very, very at the highest level, frankly, with other countries. Yeah, we're doing very well, and we're moving along on trade very well. The United States was ripped off and taken advantage of by every country in the world, practically. I mean, I have to say practically, but just about everyone. That's not going to happen anymore, but we're going to make fair deals.
Mr. President, given talks with Japan and Italy this week, do you expect to announce an initial trade deal with any of these countries by next
At a
week?
certain point, yeah, we're in no rush. We're in no rush. You have to understand we're getting right now 25% on cars, 25% on steel, 25% on aluminum. We're getting a 10% baseline. We took that down just because it was, the appropriate thing to do until we decide what the number will be. And we're, taking in a lot of money, which we've never done before, frankly. With Biden, we were losing a fortune on trade. But we're moving along very nicely, and we're going to end up with a baseline of a substantial number, which we never got anything. The United States never got anything until I came along, and then I put very substantial tariffs on China, if you remember. And we took in hundreds of billions of dollars. But then we had a rigged election, and it was just one of those little things, and it got away from us because Biden allowed every country in the world to rip off the United States, and I'm here to save our country.
Mr. President, on China, Mr. President, you said you have
Yeah,
China.
please.
You have said in the past that you aren't worried about allies growing closer to China as a result of the tariffs. And this week we saw Chinese President Xi Jinping visit with 3 of our allies. Should you be worried that
No.
they're growing closer?
No.
Mr. President, will you pick up the phone?
Nobody can compete with us. Nobody.
You said that there was a relationship with President Xi. Why not pick up the phone and call him and make a deal?
Oh, we're going to make a deal. We'll have a deal. I think we have
Mr. President?
I think we're going to make a very good deal with China.
Do you plan to reach out to him and call him?
I think that you will see we'll make a very good deal with China.
Mr. President Trump, Mr. President,
Prime
you told
Minister
me
Meloni.
avoiding Marine One a couple of months ago. I like her very much regarding Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Will she be the one to mediate your relationship with Europe, do you think?
Well, I do like her very much. I think she's a great prime minister. I think she's doing a fantastic job in Italy. We were very proud of her. I knew her right from the beginning. I knew her as a very early prime minister, and I knew she had great talent. She's one of the real leaders of the world, and I'm very proud to be with her. I can't do better than that, right?
Yes. Okay, we can close the press conference.
We should end the press conference. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Prime Minister, how quickly can you raise your defense spending?
Oh, well, Italy is going to the next summit of the NATO announcing that it raised 2%, which was requested.
It'll go up.
It's
Yeah.
yesterday.
It'll go.
And then Europe, and
Is
then
it
Europe,
enough,
as
Mr.
you know,
President?
is
It's never enough.
Europe, as
It's
you know,
never.
Europe, as you know, is committed to do more. Is working on tools to allow help the member states in increasing the defense spending, and we are convinced that everyone has to do more.
Prime Minister, are you ready? Are the retaliatory tariffs that were passed before and then suspended still on the table?
No, sorry, please repeat it.
The retaliatory tariffs that the European Commission passed and then suspended, Are they still on the table if you cannot make a deal with President Trump?
I'm sure we can make a deal, and I'm here to help on that. I cannot deal in the name of the European Union. My goal would be invite President Trump to pay an official visit to Italy and understand if there's a possibility when he comes to organize also such a meeting with Europe. I think the best way is that we simply speak frankly about the needs that every one of us has and find ourselves in the middle. That's useful for all. I really, somebody calls me such a Western nationalism. I don't know if it is the right word, but I'm sure that together we are stronger. And I have to find a way. I'm here to find the best way to make us both stronger on the two shores of the Atlantic.
We're gonna have very little problem making a deal with Europe or anybody else, because we have something that everybody wants. You know what that means, right? We have something that everybody wants. We're going to have very little problem. So we'll see you in a couple of minutes. We'll be right there in the Oval Office. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Press. Thank you, Press. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let's move. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Press. Keep going. This way. Keep going. Yeah, that way. Thank you. Thank you. That way. Thanks, everyone. Keep going. That way. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We'll talk about it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Press. Thank you.
Get them over there.
All right, so there you go. You just saw the President of the United States and then the Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni of Italy. That was the bilateral luncheon. You're going to see that in its entirety. If you'd like to watch that again, if you're just joining us, you could just scrub back a bit. However, the President and the Prime Minister will then go to the Oval Office, and I believe there will be another Q&A from the reporters. That wasn't the longest session there, so I believe that we will see video from the Oval Office in just a bit, and the back and forth between the reporters and both world leaders. So looking forward to that. Just as if we've covered so many foreign leaders here at the network, we've always seen the two leaders sitting down, talking, and then, of course, that back and forth with the reporters. So again, we'll have that here on RSBN Live. As soon as we see any tape playback or live feed, we'll go right to it. Meantime, we have a few other headlines to get to and also another live interview coming up as we stand by and wait for that meeting there at the Oval Office. Let's specifically go to a very difficult story. Just yesterday, Rachel Morin's mother, Patty, speaking. It was very difficult to listen to because of the content of what Patty was speaking about, of the horrific death of Rachel Morin. But at the end of her speech, she was begging the press to just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. Here's the video from the White House just yesterday.
If someone comes and puts their hands into your chest and rips out your heart, that's what it feels like. It feels like a part of you is being ripped out of you.
President Trump campaigned on the promise to secure our homeland and deport violent alien criminals from our communities. Maryland Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen rushed to Dulles Airport this morning to fly to El Salvador, potentially using taxpayer dollars, to demand the release of deported illegal alien MS-13 terrorists. To remind the media and the Democrat Party, MS-13 are among the most vicious and dangerous individuals in this world. They pose a direct threat to the United States, El Salvador, and any other country who maintains basic law and order. Nobody knows this more than the woman standing to my right, Patty Morin, whose beautiful daughter Rachel was brutally maimed and murdered at the hands of an illegal alien in August of 2023. Patty no longer has her daughter because of the failed Democrat Party's open border, and these are policies that President Trump is bringing an end to.
I sat for the last 2 weeks in her trial, and we saw layer upon layer upon layer of evidence against the accused, an illegal immigrant from El Salvador. And when he was sitting in the courtroom, there was no remorse on his face at all. This person took my daughter so violently and so gruesomely and so graphically that they sealed the pictures, because I don't want my granddaughters to see these pictures. If you're a mother here in the room, can you imagine standing there alive? You're alive, and someone comes and puts their hands into your chest and rips out your heart. That's what it feels like. It feels like a part of you is being ripped out of you. You can't even describe the pain. Why should we allow people like this, violent criminals that have no conscience at all, to murder our mothers, our sisters, our daughters? I don't understand this. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you.
This is why the first of the 20 core promises to the American people was to seal the border. And that's what we have seen done by this president. I mean, our military is down along the border alongside Customs and Border Protection and local, county, state, regional, federal. Everybody's down there to close that border. So we have no more of this illegal alien criminal type of person crossing the border. And then anybody that's already here, when it comes to all of that, getting deported. So the end of that speech just yesterday, she spoke on the side of that podium and was saying to the press in that room, as the press was sharing their condolences with Patty, saying, hey, we're so sorry. And she said back, just tell the truth, just tell the truth. Isn't it interesting that the mainstream media would still be that cold to think about having somebody from El Salvador that's involved with MS-13 be brought back to the United States? That makes no sense at all. We already know that. That's why many of you have said no more with that mainstream media. We're on conservative media now and into the future. Speaking of conservatism and analyzing and commentary, let's bring on conservative analyst and author T.S. Dixon right now at 12:46 Thursday, April 17th. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on Right Side.
Hey, Matt, great to be here. Thanks.
That video that we just watched there, Rachel Morin's mom, Patty, breaking down, talking about the death of her daughter and the fact that the media would ever take a side of someone on the other side like that when it comes to MS-13. Your thoughts about all of that?
Well, really, it's just about their agenda. The Democrat position is to flood the United States with illegal aliens. And so they're always going to look for these heartbreaking, heartstring stories in order to manipulate the public emotionally and try to get them to side and compromise on our mandate with Trump to close the border and deport the illegal aliens and restore America. And so this is just another manipulation tactic. But at the end of the day, they support globalism. They support flooding us with illegal aliens and really destroying our economy and really promoting crime throughout all of our cities.
And that's what we've been seeing.
So we can't have that.
Yeah, we've been seeing that with the media over the years too. But to your point, you bring up an interesting point, because usually it's the mind that gets controlled. But you're saying there's even that emotional aspect within messaging to the country. Oh, this dad from Maryland, let alone an MS-13 gang member, right? So that's interesting. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and he has a record. She had to have a restraining order against him because of domestic violence at the house, I believe once or twice. And so, yeah, this is what they do. It's typical Democrat playbook, is to find a single out a story, manipulate, even twist the story, spin it, and then pull at the emotional heartstrings of the public to get them to side with their agenda, even though it's against the interest of the public. Our country has been just invaded with criminals, rapists, drug dealers, cartel, you name it. And it's time to clean house, and Trump, Kristi Noem, Tom Homan are doing a fantastic job, and they need to keep going. And I'm happy they're standing up to these activist judges. I hope that the Congress is able to defund and cancel some of these activist judges that are trying to stand in the way.
That's a great point you're making right there with the judges. And also to your point about Tom Homan, isn't it awesome, TS, to have someone like President Trump, Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio? These are all-star patriots that are really taking care of our country and specifically tackling that thing on the southern border.
Yeah, Trump learned some valuable lessons from his first term in office. And the main thing that he learned is that you can't trust the swamp. You cannot go in and hire a bunch of DC insiders to run your government, because they'll run you out of government and they will sabotage you at every turn. And so the beautiful thing about what Trump has done this go around is he's brought in expert outsider team members that are loyal to him, loyal to the American people and his agenda, and he is putting them into the positions of power to administrate his agenda. And they are doing a fantastic job. They're off to the races. For 60, 90 days, they're just doing incredible work.
Exactly. So let's talk about that agenda a bit. It's, you know, when we hear President Trump's agenda or Agenda 47 or the 20 core promises to the American people, this is the agenda of what we want anyway. We, the people, want common sense. We want safety. We want health and wealth. Can you break that down for us? Just the fact that this is a president that pays attention to everyday Americans.
Well, the whole idea of America is that it's for the people, of the people, by the people, and it serves us, that our government is there to represent and serve us. That's the idea of a republic, which is a representative government. And so it's supposed to represent the wishes and desires and interests of the owners of the country, which are the citizens, which is us. What we've had the last 80 to 100 years is a government that serves the plutocrats, the ultra-rich, the special interests, and ulterior agendas like globalism, and that has just driven our country into the gutter. Luckily, we have a president, a populist president. Populist means he represents the interest of the popular idea or of the people, and versus the establishment. And so he has an anti-establishment, pro-populist agenda, and that's what he's carrying out. And so really, this is the first president really in our lifetime that is fully broken from the establishment and is really carrying out the wishes and the mandates of the people. And you can see just how infuriated the establishment becomes every time Trump does anything, and they're desperate at this point to stop him or hinder his agenda any way they can, even using now these handful of activist judges.
Exactly. Greatly put there. The historic, it's historic every day, it seems, with President Trump. I mean, do we kind of realize what kind of president this is, to your point? I mean, I remember talking about, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, and that kind of thing. This guy is right in line with these great founders.
Every once in a lifetime or so, when the country gets so badly out of whack and out of shape, and the corrupt establishment has carried away and corrupted the government to such an extent that it can no longer be tolerated, you have a big populist movement where the people that just want to go about their regular lives now have to get highly involved in the affairs of government, and they have to rally together, get organized, and you always have the emergence of a charismatic populist leader. So this is our time period. We've had a few fantastic, wonderful reformer presidents in the past, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Jackson, Teddy Roosevelt, to name a few, and the ultimate, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. And now, in our time period, in our era, our lifetime, we now have Trump, who is really the great reformer in chief. He is coming in to clean house, to clean up the government, to steer the train tracks of the country off of away from the cliff, which is where the globalists had our country going, so that they could crush us and dominate us, and then control the rise of China. And he is switching those train tracks over back to mountain prosperity and going back up on an incline economically. And so it's fantastic what he's doing, and it just absolutely infuriates them. And you can hear a lot of them complain that globalism or globalization is dead, is over, and that's a wonderful thing.
Exactly. Before I let you go, sir, thanks again for joining us. Those of you that are just joining us now, this is T.S. Dixon, a conservative analyst that's with us here on Right Side, as we're about 6 minutes from the top of the hour, getting ready to see President Trump and the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, meet at the Oval Office. We'll get to that in just a second. In the pre-interview, T.S., we were talking about a couple things. Tariffs, the Fed feud, FBI, DOJ progress or puzzling progress, President Trump's free speech ultimatum to Starmer of the UK, Letitia James mortgage fraud scandal, and a take on Bezos versus Musk, our two American space-age billionaires. You pick out of all of that on this Thursday, April 17th. I mean, there's a lot to get to, but maybe pick a couple.
I think what people should take notice of is really this ultimatum that Trump and J.D. Vance gave to Keir Starmer when he came over to negotiate or renegotiate their tariff deal to stop screwing the United States with unfair trade practices and unfair taxes on our exports to them. And Trump is willing to negotiate a deal, but he told Keir Starmer in front of the public, in front of the press, along with J.D. Vance, that we'll do it with you. We want to work out a deal over lunch, but you have to address these free speech issues because really the UK has descended into a despotism. It's really unbelievable to see one of our closest allies descend into this authoritarian form of liberalism and socialism where they are locking people up for X posts, Facebook posts that they claim are hate speech when they're complaining about illegal aliens and migrants that are attacking young girls, raping women, abusing their country and their fellow citizens, or these women that are standing in front of abortion clinics praying or holding up signs, if you want to talk, I'm here, and they're throwing these people into jail for 1 to 2 years or more, and that cannot stand. And so big applause to J.D. Vance and Trump for standing up to the UK and sticking up for the UK citizens and their people and their freedom of speech. And Keir Starmer said, "Oh, we have freedom of speech. You don't know what you're talking about," but that's a complete lie. He's a radical, liberal, Fabian socialist.
Exactly. I can't agree with you more on that. Before we let you go, one more thing I want to ask you, more of a personal question. The boldness that you have to share what you just did, right? This is something that if you did that in the UK, there may be a problem. But you're doing that in the United States. Do we realize the amount of freedom that we really have here still under President Trump right now?
The founders gave us in this country, in our form of government, a protection from the government to safeguard our constitutional rights, our ability to demonstrate and protest, our ability to carry a weapon and defend ourselves, our ability to worship God as we see fit, our ability to speak our mind and tell the truth. And so, like anything else, even lifting or working out or running, if you don't use it, you tend to lose it. And so really now is the time. I know that Trump has gotten into office and he is doing a great job with his team, but that doesn't mean we just need to take our eye off the ball and go back to sleep or go back to, entertainment, regular life. Now is the push. Now is the time. It's not just about America. It's about the 60 or so countries that comprise the West that need reform, that need freedom. And so now it's more important than ever. Now is the time to speak up. Now is the time to get active politically. Now is the time to use those rights that were protected and enshrined in the Constitution to preserve freedom, democracy, prosperity for ourselves and all of these other countries that are brothers and sisters.
Amen to that. Conservative analyst and author T.S. Dixon, thanks for spending time with us here on RSBN Live. We hope to have you on again.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. All right, so 12:58 Thursday, April 17th, looking at the top of the hour coming up in just a couple minutes here on Thursday. Again, April 17th, we saw two world leaders at the White House this week. First, on the 14th, was the El Salvador president, Nayib Bukele, a rock star for conservatism, one of those freedom leaders. And then, of course, Giorgia Meloni, the prime minister of Italy, also on the side of the right side of history and freedom. So as we take a look there on the program monitor here at 12:58 Thursday, April 17th, at the White House and getting ready to go to the Oval Office where we'll see both the president and also the Prime Minister of Italy. Let's go to a commercial break. We're right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
It's 1:01 Eastern. Thanks so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks again for streaming in, and thank you for streaming in all week. And how about for the past 10 years? We're about to celebrate 10 years of being on the air. Right Side Broadcasting Network. All of those rallies, all of those speeches, those remarks, those great moments in time, and of course, some very difficult moments in time. But still, for you guys to be able to stick with us as we continue to expand here at the network, as we continue to be a part of conservative media, speaking truth, speaking common sense, simply this, resonating with the American people, because we are the American people as well. We are not bought and paid for by some huge corporation that has some woke ideology forcing us to say this or that. It's freedom of speech, and it's great to have it. It's great to be able to speak about our faith and that kind of thing. I'll get to one of my favorite scriptures that I was taught by my family when I was younger. The first scripture that I ever learned. We'll get to that in just a second. And the reason why I'm doing that is because obviously it's Holy Week, and we've been hearing a lot about faith this week. So not a bad time to share some of the scriptures that are near and dear to our hearts as we move forward as a country here, believing in God, loving our country, and loving the fact that we have a president that is on the right side of history. So it's pretty awesome to see it. And it's awesome and historic to report on it as well. All right, before we get to all of that and some more videos that we have for you from various cabinet department leads, we'll get to that in just a second. Tax Network USA, of course, just a couple days ago was tax day, but still though, if there's any back taxes that you're concerned about, you can always call Tax Network USA, 800-357-1415. You see the number there on your screen. Also, tnusa.com/RSBN. So getting that financial peace of mind, that next step you can take right there with Tax Network USA. Let's shift over to angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas. A number of great products on the website there. Use that RSBN promo code, get a percentage off. Angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas. They hire military veterans, and they have a great product and a great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Speaking of great sponsors, Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN, freegoldguide.com/RSBN gets you a free info kit on gold and silver and that whole backup plan when it comes to your dollar, the retirement, savings, and having that hedge against inflation as inflation goes down. And even with Maganomics on the rise and things getting better as we see with various prices out there, while that process continues, still having gold and silver as a backup with your dollar is always a great idea as well. Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. As we pivot now to a great part of today's broadcast. I mean, at the end of the day, before everything was, God was there, right? And he created everything out of nothing. That's the faith we have as believers, you know, that God created everything out of nothing. That's pretty powerful. He spoke and it happened. And it's also great to really experience God too, to really press into our faith and to pray and to seek him and really say, okay, we see that he's real, I think, you know, instead of just thinking or instead of just believing, how about believe plus realize, hey, I can experience God as well. And that's through just seeking him with all your heart and all your mind and all your soul and strength. So I'm just saying that because, you know, I'm human just as you are. I've had my ups and downs in my journey to get to where I am today and where I'm going to go in the future when it comes to just working in conservative media and sticking here with Right Side Broadcasting Network, a great network here. But outside of all of that and the career path or whatever, it's still just something that is very important to me, and I know it's important to you. So the scripture that my family told me about back in the day was good old Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct your path. Trust in God, right? And President Trump spoke about that yesterday, in God we trust, when it comes to one of the nation's mottos. But outside of that, though, that scripture there, very near and dear to me. There's many that are. I can go on and on and on and talk about that, but this is more of a political broadcast, but of course not ashamed to share our faith, to talk about the Old Testament, the New Testament. It's truth, right? And not afraid to talk about it. And it's not something I ever thought I'd be able to do within a national television framework, which is what this is right here at Right Side. It's pretty wild. It's pretty awesome because, again, you won't hear that on the mainstream media, but who cares? Because a lot of you guys are all watching conservative media anyway, whether it's us or other podcasters or other networks. And it's awesome to be able to be transparent with you and genuine with you, because that's what you want. That's what I want from President Trump, and that's what we get. That's why he won 3 elections in a row. Anyway, in other news, let's shift out of that. We can go back to Holy Week in just a second. It depends on when we get the feed of the Oval Office with President Trump and the Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of Italy, because it'll be great to be able to replay just last night's pre-Easter prayer and dinner service where the president spoke. And he had a number of things to say. Before we get to our video with the Department of Transportation Director, can we replay the video that we played earlier in the broadcast from President Trump yesterday at the speech? We have maybe a 30-second clip there. When you let me know, I'll toss to it. Okay, it's ready. Let's go to that right now here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
And with God's help, we can overcome every challenge, triumph over every evil, and restore the spirit of faith in the United States for generations to come. We have a very simple slogan, make America great again, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're making America great again, and I like to add that I really believe greater than ever before.
You know, past presidents, I've heard Bible scriptures spoken about, whether Republican or a Democrat speaking scripture. But you know what? At the end of the day, you can honor God with your lips, but your heart may be far from him. The Bible says that, right? I'm not talking about President Trump here. I'm talking about maybe others that use the scripture but not even care about God or connect with God. And there are some pastors out there that are like that, preaching to the choir, no pun intended, but that's what the facts are. So the point is, anyway, who am I to talk about this? Again, I'm just coming at you just saying, I've had my journey as well. And it's awesome to be able to talk about politics and common sense and conservatism and freedom of speech and report on what's happening and show you the entire, speeches that we see here at the network. And we will replay, just in case you're just joining us, there was a little segment there with the president and the Prime Minister of Italy meeting at the cabinet room for lunch. We are also looking forward to seeing them at the Oval Office. Like, you see all of these events happen. You see the rallies. You see us out there reporting live from rallies from across the country over the past several years. You've grown accustomed to this network, but also one side of this network that you probably already know, but if you don't, is we are a faith network as well. We really are open with our faith here, just as President Trump has been this week with Holy Week, with Passover, and also with Resurrection Day coming up, Easter Sunday, Good Friday, of course, tomorrow. I'll share a couple more scriptures with you, and then we'll move on to a couple more videos as we continue on here at 1:10 Eastern, Thursday, April 17th. My name is Matthew Alvarez, and I'm proud to be an American, and I'm happy to be a Christian and a conservative with many of you that are watching right now, the majority of our country that love our land, love our God, love our faith, love our friends, our family, love free enterprise, love creating and building and doing wonderful things here in this nation. And in the media, you just don't hear the words that I'm speaking. On the mainstream side, and the words that Robert McNeely speaks at the same position at the desk. Sometimes we were both here live with you. Christina Loren has been here before. If you remember the election night, we had more than 5 million viewers that night. Inauguration day, more than 6 million viewers. I mean, it's really happening because you guys resonate with simply this. Outside of me blabbing on here, we get to see the leader of the free world, President Trump, and cover a historic presidency. When other networks may dip in, dip out of a speech, we say, no, we're going to make the whole segment about the speech or the whole press briefing from Carolyn Levitt. We're going to cover these things because that's what I know that you guys want to see, that unfiltered. It happens to be that we all believe in what is happening there at the White House right now. It's great to see it. It's great to see it. So we talked about John 3:16 yesterday. Also, Romans 8:28, Robert McNeely brought that up yesterday as well. And all things work together for the good to those that love God and are called according to his purpose. I want to read, and I'm going to have to look it up real quick on the fly here because a lot of this, we have our, notes and all that on this laptop. That's why I may look down from time to time again. But, there's no teleprompter that I'm reading from right now. This is from the heart. I wasn't planning on reading Psalm 23, but I'm going to read Psalm 23 here, and then we'll move on to some more news headlines that we have out there. A beautiful psalm from the psalmist David. Of course, David and Goliath, and we know who wins with that one. David wins with that one. It's awesome to see that. So let's get to Psalm 23. I know a lot of it, but I'm not going to just flow with it on air out of memory. I'd rather just read it directly from this Bible app. All right, so read the full chapter. Here we go. A Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Let's stop there quick. We get to relax a little bit. Breathe. It's going to be all right. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, or the darkest valley, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. Psalm 23, dwelling in his house, dwelling in his sanctuary. And we, as people, as Christians, those of you that are Christian, obviously, we know that we are the temple of the Holy Spirit. So we can meet with God, just like Jesus met with God in the New Testament, even though he is God. It's interesting, right? But he was just showing us the example. Jesus would actually go up on the mountain and pray and meet with God and spend time alone. And that is something that I have to do a better job of. But man, oh man, when I do it, it's great to connect and have that heart for God, that love or that desire to thank him, praise him, worship him, and spend time with him, because that is the main purpose, in my opinion, of why we're even here, just connecting with our God. Thanks be to God for Jesus. Thank God that he died on that cross. Thank God he didn't stay dead. He resurrected 3 days later. Amen. How awesome is that? And again, if you're not a believer, that's okay. If you don't believe in that, okay. All right. I'm just glad you're watching with us. But it is awesome that a majority of the country, we've seen so many great things happen with that victory on November 5th, 2024, to be able to speak like this. Jesus resurrected on the third day. Isn't it awesome? It's going to be great. And at the end of the book, we know who wins it all anyway. So we just have a little bit of time to get through all this. But let's do our best out there. Let's pray. Let's work hard. Let's keep voting. Let's make the midterms, by the way, too big to rig in 2026. So, all right, let's go to a number of videos that I had and scripts that I had written here online. Director, can you repeat, please? Okay, cool. Let's go to the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy. Okay, so he's talking about aviation security, aviation safety. Isn't it great to have someone that understands the position and gets the right people at the right jobs, from air traffic control and the FAA, and those that are already doing a great job in both of those groups? Awesome. But it's great to hear from Sean Duffy, the pick from President Trump, the Secretary of Transportation. Take a listen.
Hey everyone, Sean Duffy here. Last week I was at Atlantic City at our FAA Technical Center. This is a remarkable place where key improvements in our national airspace is either developed or tested in this center, this facility. Here's just one cool example. What you're looking at is the old technology used for insulation in aircraft. You can see that after 10 seconds, a fire will burn through that material. But with the innovation and the testing that happened at this center, you see the new material actually will last for 10 minutes. It'll hold off fire, hold off flames, hold off heat for 10 minutes, allowing passengers time to exit the aircraft. Again, critical innovation that keeps the flying public safe. Also, we always hear flight attendants talk about lithium batteries. I didn't actually realize how important this was, because if that battery is damaged in any way, they can easily start on fire. And if those batteries are in the compartment hold, that fire can burn out of control. If they start on fire, like you can see right here, incredibly dangerous. But we have techniques and tools to put those fires out and get aircraft on the ground as quickly as possible. But again, lithium batteries, very dangerous on airplanes. So always be cautious and pay attention to your pilots and your flight attendants. I look forward to sharing more examples of how this department, our department, is prioritizing your well-being. Our mission, as always, is safety.
What a transparent administration this is. Every cabinet position. I mean, Kristi Noem, Pete Hegseth, Sean Duffy, President Trump, Carolyn Levitt, everybody just posting videos saying, hey, this is what we're doing. And then DOJ, with the amount of money that they're uncovering, saying 5.2 million of our American tax dollars went to this program overseas. That's some woke policy. Well, they're uncovering all of that. They're bringing that money back. So we're seeing a lot go on right now, and it's you know, the dust is settling of all how fast everything's going, but it's still going to be pedal to the metal. It's just, we're going to see all of these great things happen as time goes on, as we are 87 days into President Trump's second administration. This broadcast brought to you by Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. If you've been watching since the top of the 12 o'clock hour, we were talking about a little bit about Colonial Metals Group and the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and others, trying to use their local currency instead of our currency. That's not good, right? But as we work out that whole system with our dollar and bringing it even to higher value, having gold and silver as that backup plan, regardless of how great or how high the dollar value is always a great thing to do. And it gives you a lot of peace of mind too, especially for those of you that have a retirement, a nest egg, a savings account that has a few extra bucks in it. Well, you can go to Colonial Metals Group if you like, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Let's shift over to mypillow.com. Mike Lindell, we love Mike Lindell here at the network. We've seen him time and time again live on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We've interviewed him out at all those rallies. We've seen him here on the broadcast before. What a great person, doing great things for this country, and a great product there. With more than 2,000 great products, mypillow.com/RSBN. You can use the RSBN promo code. You'll get up to 50% off everything, including my coffee. And it tastes dang good. Let's just put it that way. All right, so RSBN, of course, the promo code for mypillow.com. All right, so it's 1:19, Thursday, April 17th. This is, I think, what we're going to do at this point. We know that at 1 o'clock was the scheduled meeting with the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni. So President Trump meeting there at the Oval Office. Usually you will see the two leaders seated. You'll see the press and White House staff around, just like we did earlier this week with the president of El Salvador, Bukele, a rock star, of course. So as soon as we see a live feed or a tape playback of that here at the network, we'll go to that live. In the meantime, we have a few more elements that we can go to here at the network. One, if you're just joining us, we can show the video of the luncheon that the president and the Prime Minister of Italy had. And then on top of that, we may be able to have some time to go and listen to President Trump's speech from the pre-Easter prayer and dinner service from just yesterday within that 24/7 news cycle. Before we go to those two elements, and as we await the Oval Office meeting, let's go to a post, an ex-post by Arizona Congressman Abe Hamadeh. Arizona Congressman Abe Hamadeh, somebody that's based in the good stuff, the Constitution, and for all of us. So he said just a few days ago, "Good morning. Never forget that the Democrats imprisoned American patriots and showed no mercy while destroying the rule of law to try and fulfill their anti-American agenda. In Congress, I use that as motivation to support President Trump's America First agenda 100%. I've always liked Abe Hamadeh. I like a lot of people that are on the right side of history, of course, and I know you do too. But isn't that beautifully put right there? Not forgetting where we came from, keeping that in mind as we move forward and pedal to the metal for America First and for our country and for the Constitution and freedom. So it's pretty awesome to see that post by Abe Hamadeh. All right, let's go to just moments ago, the president meeting with Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy. If you're just joining us, I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks for joining us live. We're going to go to this video, and then if we see the Oval Office video, whether it's fed to us live or tape playback, we'll go to that as well. But in the meantime, let's go to the luncheon from just a few minutes ago.
Thank you very much, and we're going to be seeing you in a few minutes, right after lunch, for a press conference in the Oval Office. And I assume you'll all be there. It's the same group. If you had a question or so for the Prime Minister, please, you could ask. Anybody have a question? Okay, good. Then we'll just end it right now.
Prime Minister, you have said that the president's tariffs are wrong. Do you still believe that the United States is a reliable...
They always try to help.
It could only be her.
Should the European Union still believe that the United States is a reliable trade partner?
Well, I'm here exactly to work for make the West stronger. For I believe in the West unity, and I think simply we have to talk and find ourselves.
She believes in the president.
Also, and find ourselves in the best middle way to grow together. That's why I'm here. So, if I wouldn't think it's a reliable partner, I wouldn't be here.
We have a very good relationship together, and as countries, we have a very good relationship.
To follow up, Mr. President, what if there is not a trade deal with the EU by the time of the end of your 90-day pause on reciprocal?
Oh, there'll be a trade deal, 100%. Oh, well, you think there won't be? Of course there'll be a trade deal. Very much. They want to make one very, very much, and we're going to make a trade deal. I fully expect it, but it'll be a fair deal.
Are they on your priority list?
Everybody's on my priority list.
Mr. President, Mr. President, you
Say it.
do you plan to meet with
Wait, one at a time, please. No. No. You, and then we'll go.
Do you plan to meet with the President of the EU, Ursula von der Leyen, and do you plan to have other meetings with EU leaders as well?
Many. We had a meeting yesterday with Japan. As you know, we've had numerous talks, very, very, at the highest level, frankly, with other countries. Yeah, we're doing very well, and we're moving along on trade very well. The United States was ripped off and taken advantage of by every country in the world, practically. I mean, I have to say practically, but just about everyone. That's not going to happen anymore, but we're going to make fair deals.
Mr. President, given talks with Japan and Italy this week, do you expect to announce an initial trade deal with any of these countries by next
At a
week?
certain point, yeah. We're in no rush. We're in no rush. You have to understand we're getting right now 25% on cars, 25% on steel, 25% on aluminum. We're getting a 10% baseline. We took that down just because it was, the appropriate thing to do until we decide what the number will be. And we're, taking in a lot of money, which we've never done before, frankly. With Biden, we were losing a fortune on trade. But we're moving along very nicely, and we're going to end up with a baseline of a substantial number, which we never got anything. The United States never got anything until I came along, and then I put very substantial tariffs on China, if you remember. And we took in hundreds of billions of dollars. But then we had a rigged election, and it was just one of those little things. And it got away from us because Biden allowed every country in the world to rip off the United States. And I'm here to save our country.
Mr. President, on China, Mr. President, you said you have
Yeah,
China.
please.
You have said in the past that you aren't worried about allies growing closer to China as a result of your tariffs. And this week we saw Chinese President Xi Jinping visit with 3 of our allies. Should you be worried that they're growing closer?
No.
Mr. President, will you pick up the phone?
Nobody can compete with us. Nobody.
You said that there was a relationship with President Xi. Why not pick up the phone and call him and make a deal?
Oh, we're going to make a deal. We'll have a deal. I think we have I think we're going to make a very good deal with China.
Do you plan to reach out to him and call him?
I think that you will see we'll make a very good deal with China.
Mr. President Trump, you told me avoiding Marine One a couple of months ago. I like her very much regarding Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Will she be the one to mediate your relationship with Europe, do you think?
Well, I do like her very much. I think she's a great prime minister. I think she's doing a fantastic job in Italy. We're very proud of her. I knew her right from the beginning. I knew her as a very early prime minister, and I knew she had great talent. She's one of the real leaders of the world, and I'm very proud to be with her. I can't do better than that, right?
Yes. Okay, we can close the press conference.
We should end the press conference. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Prime Minister, how quickly can you raise your defense spending?
Oh, well, Italy is going to the next summit of the NATO announcing that it raised 2% as was requested.
It'll go up.
Yeah. Yesterday.
It'll go
up. And then Europe, as you know,
It's never enough.
Europe, as you know, is committed to do more, is working on tools to allow help the member states in increasing the defense spending. And we are convinced that everyone has to do more.
Prime Minister, are you ready? Are the retaliatory tariffs that were passed before and then suspended still on the table?
No, sorry, please repeat it.
The retaliatory tariffs that the European Commission passed and then suspended, are they still on the table if you cannot make a deal with President Trump?
I'm sure we can make a deal, and I'm here to help on that. I cannot deal in the name of the European Union. My goal would be invite President Trump to pay an official visit to Italy and understand if there's a possibility when he comes to organize also such a meeting with Europe. I think the best way is that we simply speak frankly about the needs that every one of us has and find ourselves in the middle. That's useful for all. Somebody calls me such a Western nationalism. I don't know if it is the right word, but I'm sure that together we are stronger. And I have to find a way. I'm here to find the best way to make us both stronger on the two shores of the Atlantic.
We're going to have very little problem making a deal with Europe or anybody else because we have something that everybody wants. You know what that means, right? We have something that everybody wants. We're going to have very little problem. So we'll see you in a couple of minutes. We'll be right there in the Oval Office. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Press. Thank you, Press. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let's move. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Press. Keep going. This way. Keep going. Out that way. Thank you.
Okay, so that was within the past 30 minutes or so as we await the next feed from the White House. So that's what we do. We're a live network, of course, that goes constantly live. So we are here awaiting that feed, and we'll show that to you. No other network is showing any kind of Oval Office situation right now because the pool cameras, we have access to those pool cameras, something that we pay for. And so it's great to be able to show that to you here live on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're going to show it to you as soon as we can from the Oval Office, either a live feed or a tape playback. In some cases, if the meeting is delayed, then what we usually do is we would upload that video to Rumble, to YouTube, and all over the place so you can check out the entire Oval Office interaction. So hopefully that's not the case. Plan A is to see it right here together, and we'll bring it to you live as soon as we do. And then Plan B would be to upload it to our various social platforms, including Rumble and YouTube and others. All right, so that decision has not been made. It's just right now, just giving you the inside baseball game plan as it's the bottom of the hour, 1:30 here on Thursday, April 17th. Let's go to some sponsors, Kalshi.com/RSBN. When will Bitcoin hit $150,000? We will see, but you can also bet on that. You can trade. There's so many questions to check out on Kalshi.com/RSBN. If you just go to that right now or on your app, the Kalshi app, you can see so many questions from sports, technology, politics, weather, all sorts of fun questions. You can kind of ask any kind of question, and maybe it might hit where a lot of people say they want to bet or trade on it. So Kalshi.com/RSBN for that information. Also, yesterday, if you didn't catch it, just around around 6:30 Eastern yesterday at the White House there from the Blue Room, President Trump shared a speech at a pre-Easter prayer and dinner service. It was quite awesome to hear the religious leaders there, but also to hear from the leader of the free world himself, President Donald J. Trump, speaking about faith and speaking about our country. Quite awesome to see it. Let's take a look at it once again right here on RSBN Live.
Mr. President, please. Come.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a real honor, and we've all worked very hard to get here. And I want to thank you for the tremendous support that we had. Just about 88%, I'd say that's good. I said, why didn't we hit 90? But it's pretty good. And all friends and everybody in this room is a very special friend. I want to pay great homage to the White House. There is no place like it. I've been in many houses. I've seen the nicest of the nice, and there's nothing like it. And really what it represents. And being here with you in the middle of Holy Week as we remember two of the most monumental events in all of history, the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I want to thank Pastor Paula White and Reverend Franklin Graham, all of the incredible, respected, highly respected members of clergy and friends, just friends of great faith. Many thanks as well to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who's been fantastic. Many faith leaders that are here tonight. Angel Mom, Patty Morin, who's been through hell. Where's Patty? Patty, stand up, Patty. Please. Yes, her incredible daughter. And her daughter's looking down on Patty today. This was some day for you. And we appreciate it, Patty, and we're all with you 100%. And you are indeed an angel mom. Thank you very much. And a very special thanks to Charles Billingsley for the magnificent performance. Thank you, Charles. That was very good. Nearly 2,000 years ago, during the sacred week, the living Son of God entered Jerusalem in triumph. Soon after, the Savior of mankind, who brought truth and light into the world, was betrayed, arrested, and tried, beaten, and nailed to a cross and crucified. For our sake, he gave up his life, and as the very great Reverend Billy Graham once said, God proved his love on the cross when Christ hung and bled and died. It was God saying to the world, I love you. Those are beautiful words from a great man, Franklin, right? A great man, Franklin's incredible father. I went to Yankee Stadium with my father many years ago to watch your father. And you think we have big crowds today? It was some crowd. Never forget it. So thank you very much, and thank you for being here, Franklin, very much. 3 days, your father would be very proud of you, by the way. Incredible job you did. 3 days later, Christ's followers found the empty tomb. Jesus had defeated darkness and death and promised new life to all of humankind. And that's what we celebrate each year at Easter as we joyfully proclaim on Sunday, He is risen. The death and resurrection of Jesus are the essence of the Christian faith. Whether rich or poor, healthy or sick, young or old, or in times of peace or war, Christians everywhere find solace and hope in the knowledge that Christ died for them and that they could be united with Him in heaven. And that's what we want. That's what we all want. The miracles of Holy Week set in motion a transformation in human existence. Countless millions of Americans have been moved by Christ's example to heal the sick, defend their families, lift up their communities, and make our country stronger, better, and greater than ever before. With God's grace over these past 3 months, and we have had a great 3 months. They say maybe the best 3 months ever for a president and an administration. It was really great. We have fantastic people, and they're people that believe like you do. But we've achieved more than most administrations, they've been saying, do in 4 years or even 8 years, just in a short period of time. And I think there's a whole new spirit in our country, and I think there's a whole new respect for our country. Our country was not respected 5 months ago, 6 months ago, although I think November 5th did a lot to get that respect, Franklin. I think it was a big day. I hope is going to go down as one of the most important days in the history of our country, November 5th. We're restoring our prosperity, securing our borders. We're rebuilding the U.S. military. I did it once, now I'm going to do it again, and even more so. We're standing up for a persecuted Christian and so many Christians that have been persecuted all over the world. So horrible what's happened. And defending religious liberty. We had nobody fighting for our Christians in other parts of the world that were being so incredibly destroyed, killed, injured, hurt, but they died. So many died. You wouldn't think that could happen in this time, in this sort of modern time. I proudly created the White House Faith Office and a brand new DOJ task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. And there is anti-Christian. You don't hear about that very much, but there is anti-Christian bias. We're stopping the radical indoctrination in our schools and supporting school choice. And we're going to be moving our education department and various educational departments down to the states where they belong. We spend more money per pupil than any country in the world, and we don't get the answer. We are in the lower tier of 40 nations, the 40 nations that they rate. And I think when we do this, it's going to make a tremendous difference. Think of it, we spend more per pupil than any country in the world, and yet it's Denmark and Norway, Sweden, even China does very well in the top 10. And so we can't blame it on size. We're big, but China is really big. And we're going to be there. We're going to be there soon when the states run their education department instead of some bureaucrat in Washington. It's going to make a very big, I think it's going to make a very big difference. And I also, and this was a very easy one for me, I guess some people still fight it because I saw on television today a Democrat congressman fighting so hard. I banned men from women's sports. Seems easy. And I signed an executive order making it official and the official policy of the United States that God created two genders, male and female. That's not too difficult. So there's so much to celebrate this Easter. This is really, I hope, going to be one of the great Easters ever, because we have something going that I don't think this country has seen in 100 years. And as we gather with family and friends, we'll not forget the true source of our joy and our strength. America has put our trust in God. It will always be in God we trust. We will never change that. You know, there's a movement to change it. It will not happen. We won't let that happen. Can you imagine a movement to change that? Robert, you're not happy about that when you hear that. Look at him. He's getting angrier and angrier. We can get angry too, can't we, huh? No, it's never going to change. And with God's help, we can overcome every challenge, triumph over every evil, and restore the spirit of faith in the United States for generations to come. We have a very simple slogan: make America great again, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're making America great again, and I like to add that I really believe greater than ever before. So once again, let me wish you all a very joyful and blessed Easter, and I would now like to ask Pastor Jensen Franklin, a supporter right from day one, he's been here, I think, Paula, from the first moment that we started, and who would have known that it was going to turn out this way, but the support I've had from evangelicals, Christians, and everybody, people of faith, really, has been incredible. I believe it's been unprecedented, actually, by a lot, not just by a little bit. So, Pastor Franklin, if you would, please come up. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
All right, so that was from yesterday. If you'd like to check out that event in its entirety, you can do so on Rumble and other platforms that you can always watch with Right Side Broadcasting Network, including Rumble and YouTube, X, Facebook, Truth Social, and on. The list goes on. So, yeah, great event yesterday. Great speech there by the president as we await the president and the prime minister of Italy for the Oval Office meeting. And I believe that we'll hear more of a lengthy Q&A from the press, because the video that we played earlier that you may have seen showed maybe 2 or 3, 4 questions from the press. Usually those press conferences go a lot longer. And we actually didn't see the Prime Minister of Italy. It was actually, the perspective was from behind her, showing the president. So we'll probably see both leaders there at the Oval Office at any time, and we'll go there live. In the meantime, we're following some developing news out of Tallahassee, Florida right now. At Florida State University, multiple victims reported for a shooting there, at least 4 hospitalized, 1 in custody, unclear if it's the shooter, and the scene remains active. That, according to Breaking 911 and various reports that we're watching here at the network, again in Tallahassee, Florida, at Florida State University. All right, so that's the latest we have. We'll monitor that. We'll monitor pretty much any national breaking news that's happening out there. But specifically, of course, our focus on Washington, D.C. Here on RSBN Live. All right, so it's 1:42, Thursday, April 17th. Let's go to the Oval Office right now.
Thank you very much, everybody. And I've been briefed on the Florida State University, Tallahassee active shooting. I guess it's an active shooter. Fully briefed as to where we are right now. It's a shame. It's a horrible thing. Horrible that things like this take place. And we'll have more to say about it later. In the meantime, it's an honor to have the Prime Minister of Italy with us. Prime Minister Meloni, who's doing a fantastic job. I would say that she has taken Europe by storm and highly respected. Everybody loves her and respects her, and I can't say that about many people. And she's become a friend, and we really have a great relationship between Italy and ourselves. And we talked about trade. We talked about many, many things during our luncheon, and She'll be saying a few words, but she's a very special person, and it's nice to have you with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for your warm welcome. Thank you for this occasion, which is a You know, today is April 17, and April 17 marks the anniversary of the agreement that allowed Cristoforo Colombo to make his trip. And I say to remember how ancient are our ties, but also to remind that we both share another fight, which is the fight against the woke and ADI ideology that would like to erase our history. And as I know that we share lots of things on tackling illegal migration, on fighting against synthetic drugs. You know, Italy has been one of the nations that made a plan against fentanyl, for example. But we have been talking about many bilateral topics and things that we can do together, about defense, about economic, about economy, about space, about energy. Italy will have to increase its LNG imports, and also nuclear that we are trying to develop. I think there can be ways to work together, and the Italian enterprises will invest, as they've been doing for many years, as you know, in the next years, I think around 10 billion. That shows how interconnected our economies are. And that's very important, Mr. President. It's not only about Italy, it's about the entire Europe. The exchange between us is a very big one. Investments, trade, it's a topic that we are discussing in this week. But at the end of the day, look, somebody calls me, I was saying it before, such a Western nationalism, I don't know if it is. I know that when I speak about West, mainly I don't speak about a geographical space. I speak about a civilization. And I want to make that civilization stronger. So I think even if we have some problems, okay, between the two shores of the Atlantic, it is the time that we try to sit down and find solutions. So I want to thank President Trump for having accepted an invitation to pay an official visit to Rome in the near future, and consider the possibility in that occasion to meet also with Europe. The goal for me is to make the West great again. Okay? And I think we can do it together.
We can.
We will keep on work on that. I'm going to close. I want to say only, I'm proud of sitting here as Prime Minister of an Italy that today has a very good situation despite the difficulties, a stable country, reliable country, 1 million more jobs in the last 2 years and a half.
Great.
Inflation is going down, so you forgive me if I promote a bit my country,
Yeah,
but you're a businessman and you understand me. So migration flows going down 60%. So we are trying to do our best, but I think we can do it even better together. Also on Ukraine, I will close. Together we've been defending the freedom of Ukraine. Together we can build a just and lasting peace. We support your efforts, Donald.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think we're doing well in that effort, but we want to get it done, and we'll see if we can. We want to save. On average, think of it, every week 2,500 people are being killed, mostly soldiers, Russian, Ukrainian soldiers. And if we can save those lives, that would be a very good thing. And so we'll see what we can do. And I think we're getting close, but we'll let you know very soon. And you've been very helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. President, how much longer does Vladimir Putin have to respond to your ceasefire proposal before you put secondary tariffs or sanctions on Russia?
We'll see what that will be. We're going to be hearing from them this week, very shortly actually, and we'll see. But we want it to stop. We want the death and the killing to stop.
Mr. President, on Jerome Powell, you said that the termination of Jerome Powell cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave it even if you ask him to.
Oh, he'll leave. If I ask him to, he'll be out of there. But I don't think he's. I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late. always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me. Yeah, go ahead, please. Question?
Are you trying to remove him, Mr. President?
Yeah, question?
Mr. President, yesterday Judge Boasberg, in a case against your administration, said the Constitution does not tolerate willful disobedience of judicial orders. Do you agree with that statement?
Well, you're going to have to speak to the lawyers. We have great lawyers. I can tell you this, we're doing a fantastic job of getting criminals out of this country who Biden allowed into the country. Hundreds of thousands of criminals, murderers and drug dealers. And I was elected because of the fact, I would say maybe that was the number one fact for a lot of reasons, the economy, a lot of things. But one of the primary reasons I was elected is because I said, I'm going to get the criminals that he allowed to come into our country so stupidly through open borders. I'm going to get them out. And I got a lot of votes, record-setting numbers of votes, as you know. We won everything. The popular vote, all 7 swing states, we won everything. And that's what the public wanted, and that's what I'm doing. But you have to speak to the lawyers because it's up to them.
Mr. President, what do you think of the proposal from France?
Say it?
What do you think of the proposal from France and UK of a peace mission in Ukraine with soldiers? And do you think that Italy should take part into it?
Well, I think Italy will have to make that determination, but peace missions are always good with me. I'm okay with peace missions. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, have you discussed, what areas of cooperation have you discussed with the Prime Minister vis-a-vis Italy and the United States and Europe and the United States? And on China?
We discussed it very briefly. No, we're doing very well with negotiations, I think, with all countries. And Scott could tell you a little bit, but we are doing very well. We have a lot of countries that want to make a deal. Frankly, they want to make deals more than I do. Go ahead, Scott. Would you say something?
Yeah, we've got a process in place. We're working on the big 15 economies first. We had a fantastic meeting with Japan yesterday. I believe there's been calls with the EU already. And then we have South Korea coming in next week. And I believe India is also talking. That's moving very quickly.
Ukraine's President Zelensky has said he has evidence that China is supplying weaponry or ammunition to Russia. Do you have any evidence along those lines? And also, he said we could see a minerals deal signed this week. Is that?
Well, we have a minerals deal, which I guess is going to be signed on Thursday, Scott, next Thursday, soon. And I assume they're going to live up to the deal, so we'll see. But we have a deal on that. No, I have no comment on that. I have no idea. That's his statement, not mine.
Mr. President, there were reports that you waved off an Israeli attack on Iranian nuclear facilities. Can you comment on that? Is that accurate?
And they say the attack is what?
That you waved off an Israeli plan to attack Iranian nuclear facilities.
I wouldn't say waved off. I'm not in a rush to do it because I think that Iran has a chance to have a great country and to live happily without death. And I'd like to see that. That's my first option. If there's a second option, I think it would be very bad for Iran. And I think Iran is wanting to talk. I hope they're wanting to talk. It's going to be very good for them if they do. And I'd like to see Iran thrive in the future, do fantastically well. I know the Iranian people, they're incredible people. Always have been very smart, very energetic, very successful people. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt anybody. I really don't. But Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. It's, pretty simple. It's really simple. We're not looking to take their industry. We're not looking to take their land. All we're saying is you can't have a nuclear weapon. The deal that was made, with Obama, that deal would have expired already. It was a terrible deal. It would have expired. And that gave them a clear path to a nuclear weapon. I wouldn't have accepted. That's why I terminated the deal. Number one, it was way too short. When countries are involved, you don't make short-term deals. These are countries with long lives. And I terminated that. And it was a great termination because it didn't allow us to do anything. Once it terminated, you know what the deal was. It was a terrible deal. Really, one of many terrible deals made by the U.S. But no, I'd like to see Iran thrive. And they can do that, I think, very easily, or they can do it the other way, and the other way is not going to be good for them. It's going to be really bad for them. Well, Jensen's an amazing guy. He's become a friend of mine, and I don't know, he's a person that's very proud of our country. He loves our country. I'm not worried about Jensen at all.
Mr. President, if we're hold you in contempt, will you take steps to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia to the United States and put him in front of a judge?
Well, I'm not involved in it. I'm going to respond by saying you'll have to speak to the lawyers, the DOJ. I've heard many things about him, and we'll have to find out what the truth is. But I will say this, we were inundated by millions of people, many millions of people during the Biden administration. They say 21 million. And a big percentage of those are criminals, serious criminals. I'm not saying just criminals because they came into the border illegally. I'm saying they're criminals at the highest level, murderers. Many of those people murdered more than one person, and they're on the loose. And I was elected to get rid of those criminals, to get them out of our country, or to put them away, but to get them out of our country. And I don't see how judges can take that authority away from a president. We've done an amazing job. Tom Homan, Kristi Noem, we have done an amazing job. Nobody can believe the job we've done. Far greater than what I said. I mean, I got elected on that, but we've done much better. We have right now 99% border. It's a 99%. Nobody thought that would even be, nobody's coming through our border practically. 2 weeks ago, we had 9 people come through, all for medical reasons. We allowed them. We brought them through because one had a heart attack, one had something else, and, all for medical reasons. We have a great border. We had a great border 4 years ago, but we have a border now that's even tighter, and we did that in a matter of weeks. And no, we have to. We need to get murderers and drug dealers and people that were in jail for horrible. They released jails, Georgia, from all over the world, and released them, not just South America, all over the world, the Congo and Africa. Many, many people come from the Congo. I don't know what that is, but they came from the Congo. And all over the world they came in, opened their jails. Venezuela, practically all of their prisoners released into our country. And we took them because we had an incompetent administration called the Biden administration. And to think what they've done to our country. And I was elected to straighten that out, and I'm doing that. But we have activist judges that don't want murderers to be sent out of our country. They don't want killers and drug dealers and drug lords and people from mental institutions. They want them to stay in our country, I guess. I don't know, maybe that's the liberal way, or as they call it nowadays, the progressive way. But I don't think it's the way that our country believes, and that's why I won in a landslide.
Mr. President, you did say that you are confident these deals will be done, but you also said that you're in no rush. Americans are seeing prices rise. They're seeing it on their bills. How long can they expect that pain to last?
So they've already seen it get much better, because if you were truthful, which you're not, I know you very well, you have gasoline that hit $1.98 yesterday in a couple of states. You have gasoline's way down. The price of oil has dropped substantially. The price of groceries are substantially down. The price of eggs. When I came in, they hit me with eggs. I just got there. I was here for 1 week, and they started screaming at me, eggs have gone through the roof. I said, I just got here. I was there for 7 days, and I hear that eggs have gone through the roof before I got there. And they were screaming at me, the press, the fake news, like you're fake. And the fake news is screaming at me, like, about eggs. I said, I've only been here, this is my 7th day. And they were right. They went up 87%, and you couldn't get them. They said, you won't have eggs for Easter, which is coming up. Happy Easter, everybody. You won't have eggs for Easter. And we did an unbelievable job, and now eggs are all over the place, and the price went down 92%. And our Commissioner of Agriculture, Brooke, has done a fantastic job. Did really done a fantastic job. So prices haven't gone up. The only thing that's gone up actually is interest rates, because we have a Federal Reserve Chairman that is playing politics. Somebody that I've never been very fond of, actually. But he's playing politics. Interest rates should be down now. They should be coming down. In Europe, as you know, they reduced them, I guess 7 times. It looks like they're going to reduce them again and again and again. But our guy wants to play cute. But interest rates are pretty much even. Maybe they went up just a slight bit, but that's the only thing. But that's because of the Federal Reserve, because they're not very smart people.
Do you regret nominating him?
Go ahead. Yes, sir, please. Go ahead,
Do you
please.
regret nominating him, Jerome Powell?
Look, in the first 4 years, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. The stock market went up 88 points. I think he's terrible, but I can't complain because we had the most successful administration economically in the history of our country. I think we're going to do even better this time because you will see that the numbers that we're taking in are astronomical. We're taking in tremendous amounts of money with the tariffs. We were treated very unfairly on trade, and countries are having a hard time getting used to the fact that they can't do that to us anymore because we have a real president. We have a president that understands what it's all about. We had presidents that, in some cases, were smart, but they didn't understand business, or they didn't like business, or, you know, it wasn't like a priority. And then you had, like, the last administration, the only thing they were good at was cheating in elections. That's about all they could do. They couldn't do anything. They were useless. They were incompetent. Worst administration in the history of our country. Worse than Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter died a happy man. You know why? Because he wasn't the worst president. Joe Biden was. So I think you're going to see some fantastic numbers when this all happens. It's happening now. I mean, everybody wants to make a deal. And if they don't want to make a deal, we'll make the deal for them. Because that's what's going to happen. We'll just say, this is what it is. But we want to listen to everybody. And I think I can say for Scott and the other people that are working on it that we're listening and we're going to be very fair to people. But, you know, we're the one that really sets the deal, and that's what we'll be doing. Okay? Go ahead, please.
Question to our Prime Minister.
Oh, you have a great Prime Minister. You're so lucky. Yes.
In italiano.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Okay.
I'm not sure that would agree.
Presidente Meloni, volevo sapere cosa pensava del fatto che il Presidente Trump ha considerato responsabile Zelensky della guerra in Ucraina e poi se avete parlato delle spese militari e qual è il limite massimo a cui ha detto che può arrivare l'Italia, le percentuali delle spese militari.
Non abbiamo parlato dei limiti massimi a cui può arrivare l'Italia, abbiamo parlato del fatto che l'Italia sta stato sottoscritto dai governi precedenti, perché siamo una nazione seria, ma non abbiamo parlato poi di quanto vada aumentata questa percentuale, anche se siamo ovviamente consapevoli che insomma, il tema della difesa sia un tema particolarmente importante di questo tempo. Per quello che riguarda la guerra in Ucraina, lei sa come la penso che ci sia chiaramente diciamo ci sia stata un'invasione e che l'invasore da quel punto di vista fosse Putin e la Russia, ma non è questo che diciamo oggi quello che rivela il fatto che insieme vogliamo lavorare, stiamo lavorando per cercare di arrivare in Ucraina a una pace che possa essere giusta e duratura. Penso che questi siano gli sforzi sui quali condividiamo il nostro lavoro, abbiamo condiviso anche oggi il nostro lavoro.
That was so beautiful. What did she say, please? No, I mean, it sounded great. It was beautifully presented. Maybe I could hear what she said. Go ahead.
It was about asking.
Guys,
hold it.
Have some respect, please.
Thank you. No, wait. I want to hear what you said. Go ahead.
Prime Minister Meloni was asked what she thinks about the fact that President Trump holds Zelensky responsible for the war in Ukraine.
and Prime Minister Meloni answered well. We have. If you talked about the military spending, how and the raising of the military spending, and the first thing Prime Minister Meloni said is that no, actually, we didn't talk about the raise in military spending. Of course, Italy will keep its commitments with 2%, and then we will see, because we are absolutely aware of the fact that it is very important
well, I will do
defense
that.
is very important.
Wait. I will
It's
do
very
that.
important.
They've been asking if we raise, if we decided another percentage about the defense spendings,
NATO,
and I said
NATO.
yes, NATO, and I said that Italy is reaching the 2% as it was already decided. We didn't speak about a specific other percentage, but we are aware of the fact that defense is important for the future, and we see what also the work that we are trying to do at the European level.
And I don't hold Zelensky responsible, but I'm not exactly thrilled with the fact that that war started. That was a war that would have never started if I were president. You'd have millions of people living right now that are dead. You'd have cities that would be open and thriving, and they'd have their beautiful turrets. Those turrets are the most beautiful in the world, but they're not with us any longer. They're smashed to smithereens, laying on the ground in a million pieces, getting hit by rockets, bombs, and bullets. And so I'm not happy with him, and I'm not happy with anybody involved. I think it's a war. I know it's a war. It didn't happen for 4 years. It was never close to happening. It was never even a thought. And I spoke to President Putin about it a lot. It was the apple of his eye, but there's no way he would have ever gone in if I were president. Now I'm trying to get him to stop because, as you know, Russia's a lot bigger. It's a bigger military force. And if you're smart, you don't go involved and get involved in wars that you can blame the man that was sitting in this seat. Biden, he didn't know what the hell was going on. But I can guarantee you that, and everybody agrees to it, if I were president, that war would have never taken place. I'm not blaming him. But what I am saying is that I wouldn't say he's done the greatest job. Okay? I'm not a big fan. I really am. I'm not a big fan.
Go
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Presidente Meloni, avete discusso di Cina, della possibilità che l'Europa ponga dei dazi, diciamo, sulla Cina. Mr. President, are you sure about the definition of parasite of European? Would you say again that European are parasites?
I've never said.
Would you say again that
Have you ever said that Europeans are parasites?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't said. I don't know
You
what.
didn't say.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. No, wait. Next. Go.
Thank you. Prime Minister Meloni just said we want to make Europe great again, and we want to do it together with the United
Sure.
The West,
States.
yeah.
Did you? I guess that's what you said, Mr. Prime Minister. How are you going to do that? And are you looking to do it to counter China, who is really trying to gather influence against the United States with the help of this joint agreement?
I hope that Europe is going to be great again. Europe is going through a lot of problems, and a lot of it's having to do with immigration. And I'm not a big fan of Europe and what they've done with immigration at all. And I think they got to get smart, because Europe is being very badly hurt by what they've done with immigration. Now, I'll say this, that the Prime Minister has taken a very tough stand on immigration. And I commented to her before. I said, I wish more people would be like you having to do with that subject, but they're not. Europe is very important to me. Europe is very important to the world. I want Europe to do very well. I think they have to get a lot smarter on immigration.
But we are beginning doing it. You've all seen how the policies of the European Union in the last, let's say, 2.5 years have been changing. Okay, at the beginning we were talking only about how we were redistributing illegal migrants coming to Italy. Now we are talking mainly about how to stop illegal migration, work with the countries of origin and transit, and to return people. The European Commission just did the new rules about repatriations and things like that. So things are changing, thanks also to the example that Italy brought in lowering the rates of illegal migration. So we are working now together. So I'm optimistic on that.
Good. I hope so. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
I would like to ask President Meloni if you have discussed the option of expanding deal with Italy on satellite communications, and President Trump, if you want to see the Google company to become.
The Google what?
The Google company.
What about
Google
it?
business.
Yeah.
You want to see it to become. Separate.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, well, we didn't discuss about Starlink. We've been discussing about defense space, where we will work together also in the Mars missions. So there are big things to do together, but we didn't discuss it.
Your conversation with the Prime Minister that changed your mind potentially about tariffs and what you plan to do going forward?
No.
Is there anything the Prime Minister said to you that changed your perspective?
No, tariffs are making us rich. We were losing a lot of money under Biden, trillions of dollars, trillions on trade. And now that whole tide has turned. We're making a lot of money. We're taking in a lot of money. Don't forget, we're taking in 25% on cars, 25% on steel, 25% on aluminum, 10% baseline. We put penalties on China for sending us fentanyl. We put penalties on Mexico and Canada, 25% for allowing fentanyl and allowing the borders to be weak. No, we're taking in billions and billions of dollars while I sit here and talk to you. And we didn't take in anything before, other than the tariffs that I put on previous to Biden, which were the tariffs I put on China, where we took in, up until this point, probably $700 billion. They were Trump tariffs. He tried to weaken them. He did everything he could. You know, he got paid money by China, right? The family got paid money. He did. And so I don't know, maybe that was the reason, or maybe it wasn't. But he tried to weaken them, but he couldn't, because there was so much money that his budgets, you know, they couldn't stand not doing it. But I took in up till this point, my tariffs on China. Nobody ever took in 10 cents from China. No other president took in 10 cents. I took in more than $700 billion from China. So we're doing very well. I mean, our country's doing very well. They had a bad report today from one of the healthcare companies that had an impact on the stock market. But this isn't about that. This is really, we're building a base. We're building a country like no other. And again, I had the strongest economy in the history of our country by far, history of any country probably, but the history of our country in 4 years. And I think this has a chance to be much better.
Can you just clarify on the mineral field? Will that be signed here at the White House with Ukraine on Thursday? Will President Zelensky be coming here for that?
I don't know exactly. I'm going to leave that to Scott. What do you think? Where would it be signed and when?
Yeah, we're still working on the details. We're shooting for around April 26th.
Is there any more details that you could tell us about what's in that deal and how it came together?
It's substantially what we agreed on previously. When the president was here, we had a memorandum of understanding. We went straight to the big deal, and I think it's an 80-page agreement, and that's what will be signed.
President Trump, on rate cuts, can you clarify on rate cuts, do you intend to seek Powell's firing if he doesn't change his stance on rate cuts? Or is that on the table? Or is that
Well, I think he should do the rate cuts, because I think if Europe has done it, it puts us at a disadvantage to Europe. I mean, he plays right into their hands. So I think he should do the rate cuts. We don't have really inflation now. I just said the major things are going down. Oil is great. Oil is way ahead of schedule. And that's because of our policies. But oil is down into the $60, $65 range now per barrel. And I told you, in certain states we have less than $2 for gasoline. And food is down. Groceries, as we call it, are down. Other than interest rates, everything's down. Interest rates are pretty flat. They're not. It's not that they're up, but we should be better than flat. We should. If he would lower the interest rate, I think it would have a good impact on that too. But the costs are down. We have very little inflation. I would say we have essentially no inflation. Hard to have inflation when oil goes down, and oil goes down. When Biden came in, oil went through the roof. That's what caused our problem. That and his very dumb spending. But when the oil prices go down, and they have gone down a lot, we've gotten it down really good. We've opened it up and we've gotten them down. And that means that people driving cars are going to be paying $2 and $2.50 instead of $4.50. And, you know, even at the end, they tried just for the purpose of the election to get it down. But they had really lost that sucker. That was really, it was not good. But if they had won, oil right now would be at $7 or $8 because of their policy. And we're going to be at about $2. Could be even a little bit less than that. And you're starting to see it. So I don't know how you can have inflation when oil has come down quite a bit. And I would say the Fed really owes it to the American people to get interest rates down. That's the only thing he's good for. And he would have an effect on that if he lowered them. And I think at some point he will. He's going to have a lot of political pressure. You know, they are political also. And I think there's a lot of political pressure for him to lower interest rates. Yeah? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Please.
Do you think that Italy can be your best ally in Europe? And also, do you ever notice when you walk if you step on ants?
Only if the Prime Minister remains the Prime Minister can it be our best. She's doing a great job. And yeah, certainly one of our great allies, not just in Europe, anywhere. She's a fantastic person and doing a great job. And our relationship is great. And we have a lot of Italians in this country, I tell you, and they like Trump, and they voted for Trump. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Fred. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Fred. Thank you. Thanks, guys. We're moving. Thanks, guys. Let's go. Thank you. Thank you. Time to go. Thank you, press. Let's keep moving. Thank you. Time to go.
All right, there you go. A great meeting inside the Oval Office between the president and the Prime Minister of Italy. The two world leaders discussing domestic and foreign policy. And if I were a reporter in the Oval Office, all you have to do is maybe just raise your hand and let them pick on you instead of all the yelling going on. But anyway, too much common sense, I guess, for the press. But anyway, it would be easier just to do it that way. It's great to see conservative media and new media at the press briefing room inside the Oval Office as well, as this president is so transparent with the truth and just always answering questions from the press as he continues pedal to the metal, winning for our country. Thanks so much for streaming in on this Thursday, April 17th. If you missed any of that meeting or any of our coverage from today's broadcast that started at 12 Eastern, you can scrub back if you'd like. Also, we'll be posting this all over the place on Rumble, YouTube, all over, X. You can always replay if you'd like to watch any of the coverage. All right, so let's thank a few sponsors. Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN is one of them. All you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN for Colonial Metals Group. Let's shift over to Angel Paste. Thank you to Angel Paste and the team over there in Spring, Texas for being a sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. You can use that RSBN promo code for a discount off of various products on that website. And also Kalshi.com/RSBN. When will Bitcoin hit about $150,000? There's other questions to trade and bet on with Kalshi.com/RSBN. Great sponsors here at the network. And if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801. So just text RSBN to 801-801. For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, thanks so much for streaming in this week. If there's any live coverage to be had tomorrow for Good Friday, we'll be here for you. If not, we'll see you on Truth Social. We'll see you on X. We'll see you all over the place. RSBNetwork.com and our RSBN app. looking live there at sunny Auburn, Alabama, as we just saw live footage from Washington, D.C. for that Oval Office meeting. Hope you have a great, great weekend, a blessed weekend. Resurrection Sunday coming up, Easter, of course, Good Friday tomorrow. God be with you. We love you guys. Thanks so much for watching RSBN. We'll be seeing you soon.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.